Peace. Kevin is good for something. FBI, open up! No, stop. Wait a minute. Before you arrest me, can I show you our inventory? Well, luckily that guy likes Warhammer, but he still took my cans. So sadly, there is still no Tamiya spray cans in Canada. What am I gonna find to replace it? Krylon. Hello all, this is David from Sunward Hobbies, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at one of our newest products that we brought into our inventory, spray paints. We brought these in really out of necessity, as it seems every day a new spray paint line is getting banned here in Canada. So with Tamiya gone, with Mr. Hobby becoming very hard to find, and even some AK spray paints gone as well, we had to try out this brand and try and fill that hole that has been left. So I took a few examples of what we carry: a matte finish, a UV resistant gloss finish, a metallic bright gold, a fusion all-in-one paint, gloss red pepper, a ColorMaxx paint and primer, flat black, and a spray adhesive. So Krylon was founded in 1947 in Philadelphia by businessman Howard E. Kester. Just kidding, I'm not going to go through the whole history of it. What I will mention though is what exactly these are for. So Krylon is a versatile aerosol used mainly for DIY projects, crafts, and professional applications. So it's technically not really a hobby paint. However, it can be used in this situation. Many people who have used it have mentioned that it's very thick and viscous. So whatever you're using, be sure you go on with a light hand. And since these are made for professional applications, I'm expecting these to be very durable and tough. So let's get started testing each of these out. So the first one I'm very curious to try out is the spray adhesive. So it is a high strength, even spray pattern and has extended open tack time, which means that this probably cures pretty slowly. Now, from the sounds of it, this would probably be most ideal for terrains, but I'm curious to see how it would work with plastic. So I've got some cardboard here to protect our cutting mat. And I'm just gonna try and carefully spray this in the necessary areas. So I've sprayed some on each connecting point. So we'll come back to that later and see how well that stuck. Next one we're taking a look at is Fusion all-in-one paint and primer. This is fast drying and can be used on any surface. So this one I'm expecting to be a really tough paint. I'm expecting it to be quite thick as well. So I'll try to apply it as carefully as I can. It does mention that plastic is one of the surfaces you can use this on. And this also has to be sprayed in a well-ventilated area, so I tried my best to go light with it, but even then it does look a little bit thick. We'll see how it looks when it's fully dried, but pretty nice so far, not bad. Next up is ColorMaxx which is also a paint and primer. I've got this one in flat black, and it is fast drying for metal, wood, ceramic, and more, and for use indoors or out. ColorMaxx is almost identical to Fusion, except Fusion is apparently a even more heavy-duty spray paint, more described as a general use spray paint. So I'm imagining this one may be a little lighter than Fusion, and maybe not quite as durable, but we can only know when we try. Yeah, so this one felt quite similar to Fusion. I didn't really notice much of a difference when spraying it, but again, pretty good coverage, and we'll see how that dries as well. All right, metallics, you're on. So I've got bright gold, metallic spray paint, fast drying, but for indoor use only. This one I imagine is more for crafts, so we'll see how it holds up. So you may have noticed the first few sprays, the gold wasn't coming out at all. It was just a clear liquid. So I recommend first opening this up to give it a few sprays on some garbage plastic or something, just to make sure that the pigment is all ready. I don't know how I feel about this one. It could be because I didn't really get it ready before I put it on the plastic. I might spray something else with this, see if it goes on better. I tried spraying the gold again on something else, and this time it came out a lot better, unlike the first attempt where it came out very grainy. But anyway, moving on. Now I'm going to test out the varnishes, starting with matte, and I'll be spraying it on the red that we did earlier, which has a very shiny gloss finish. We'll just see how much this matte dulls it down. Will this finally be the long-awaited replacement for TS80? Let's find out. So I'll give that a little time to dry, and then we'll see to the full extent how much it dulled it down. And now the last one to try out, the gloss varnish, which this one happens to be UV resistant. And for that, we'll do the opposite. We'll try out the flat black that we sprayed earlier and try to make it glossy. Now, as for the UV resistant capabilities, unfortunately, unless you are willing to stand outside with me for 5 to 10 years in the sunlight, then I can't tell you right away how good the UV resistance on this is. That's just something you gotta find out with time. So again, we're gonna give that a little time to dry. Although being gloss, it's probably gonna look exactly how it does right now, but time will tell. So with the varnish coats on, the matte one, that looked very good. You remember how glossy that was earlier? Now it's at best satin, and that was just matte. So if you want it even duller than that, then you can try their flat clear as well. So yeah, that's a pretty good matte varnish. I would say it is a decent substitute to TS80. The gloss varnish, however, I mean, maybe it just needs a few more coats, but to me that looks more like satin. And plus, with how thick these go on, you really got to be careful when applying multiple coats of this. Yeah, I do prefer the matte, but probably with a few gentle light coats, the gloss would look better. Now, one last thing I'd like to test before I move on is how sandable all these spray paints are. Now, Krylon claims that you don't have to sand them, but considering how thick these are, you're going to overspray somewhere by accident, so you will have to sand something off. So I just like to see just how durable these are. I've got some Tamiya 320 grit sanding sponge. Yeah, that's pretty tough. So as you can see, sanding it, even with a low grit sandpaper, barely budges it at all. So when Krylon says they are no peel, they actually mean it, unlike other brands. So this is actually very encouraging. Even if you do accidentally go too thick with a color, you can just sand it down and get it to a more fine texture. So that's really awesome to hear. As for the spray adhesive, so it is evidently not good for plastic. It's quite useless for plastic, actually. It barely held it together at all. In that case, then, I am going to see how it works with terrain. So I've got some gamer's grass bluebeard flowers and a tiny piece of foam. So I got a tuft here already, and I'm going to spray the foam. All right, so now I've got it on there. I'm gonna give this a few minutes to dry, and then we'll see if it fares better in this context. I think it's been long enough, so let's see how well that's stuck on there. Yeah, I'm obviously not intentionally trying to rip it off, but it does seem to be on there pretty good. Yeah, I would say that fared better. From what we've learned, Krylon spray adhesive is definitely intended for terrain. It is useless on plastic, so remember that. You can use this on terrain mats. You can use this for tufts. Basically, if you want to glue on any type of terrain and do it fairly quickly, then that's what this is for. In conclusion, in comparison to Tamiya or Mr. Color, it's okay. But I mean, there's not many other options out there. Now, don't get me wrong. From what I saw in my test of all these products, they are quite good. They seem to be very tough and durable. The finish is pretty good. Like I mentioned earlier, it really requires a steady hand. So apply this very carefully, as light as you can. And if you do that, these should be a good substitute for your beloved primers. So thank you very much for watching this video. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on our socials, and until the next one,
FBI, open up!
It's legal, shut up. What do you want, more Warhammer?